is about project management. First things we're going to do is just get you set up to understand how to use GoToMeeting. So a couple quick things. Everyone has their lines muted or their microphones off to begin with. We like to do that just for our larger webinars to make sure we don't get a lot of background noise. But if you do have any questions, go ahead and just raise your hand or send me a chat in the questions panel. I will be checking those throughout the webinar today. And then we will try to leave about 5 or 10 minutes at the end of the webinar for a Q&A session. So if I don't answer your question as we're going through, we will make sure we get to it towards the end. So here's the topics that we'd like to cover today. I'll show you how to create a new project in PlanPlus. I'll show you how to map out your plan of what you're going to accomplish, how to manage your tasks, how to take action on those tasks, how to build project templates, and some project reporting. So the first thing you need to know how to do is create a project. To create a project, you are going to click on Projects in your Projects bar and click on New to create a new project. This will pull up a Create Project screen that you'll be able to see enter all the details about the project that you are creating. If you don't see a Projects tab in your PlanPlus online account, the reason for that would be that you probably are not in our Business Edition. If you're in our Essentials or in our Professional Edition, you may not have this tab. So if you're interested in project management, you'll want to upgrade to our Business Edition. This page has a couple key things. The first one is just a project name. You always have to have something to call it in order for it to be entered in the database. The next one that I really like that makes a big difference to me when I'm doing project management is being able to link this project to a customer. So you can see the next line down is customer. It actually has two little links out to the side, a green house and then a little blue person icon. That will allow me to link this project either to a person that's in my contact database or to a company or an organization that's in my database. This just lets me keep track of who this project is for. This is not a required field. So if this is just an internal project for my own purposes, that works as well. It looks like we have a question. If you could just chat me your question really quickly, that would probably be the best way to field questions right now while we're going through this, because our audio isn't turned on just yet. All right, so next question, or next piece of this lets you estimate how much value this project is for. We'll talk about using templates in a few minutes. It lets you allocate how much time you're going to dedicate to this. You can identify what type of project it is, what status it's starting at, how important it is, and who owns the project. The owner field is another good field to pay attention to. Owner allows you to identify who in your team that already uses PlanPlus is going to be running point on this project. Tasks can be assigned to other users besides just the owner, but this just lets you know who is running point on the project. You then have a start date, which will autofill in with today's date, but you can edit that to have a different date if you'd like. And then an end date. This will encompass the project duration. And then the last piece is a vision statement where you list out your goals and desired outcome of this project. All right, so now that you have your project, you're ready to start mapping out what you want to accomplish. To map out your project, you're just going to start entering tasks into the project. I'm actually going to show you how to do this live because I feel like a static screen just doesn't quite do it justice. So give me just a moment. So to enter a task, it's really simple. You just type in the task name in the open box and press enter. Or you can click the little add button out to the right of the box, and that will add your task. Tasks are always going to get added to the bottom of the list. As you click add, it's going to just add it right below the bottom task in your list. But then you can drag them up and down and rearrange them as needed. All right, so I'm going to exit this PowerPoint and bring up my account here. So you guys should be able to see this account. And we're going to start here on projects. And I'm just going to open up an existing project here. All right, so this is my implementation project. You can see this has already started to have a project outline mapped out for me. I have account setup, data migration, contact and organization management, what I need to do for contacts, what I need to do for organizations. To add tasks, I simply type the name of the task in here. Maybe I need to build out custom views. So you can see this task, when it gets added, is actually going to be added right underneath Build Custom Fields. If I wanted to move it in or out, I could do that. Maybe I want it to be a subtask of contact and organization management rather than just the subtask of organizations. I could do that. Or I could bring it all the way out and have it be its own parent task. Once I have a subtask, it's going to enter everything in on that same level. So I'm going to put this back over here. I'm doing this by just clicking on the little blue arrow that moves my tasks in and out. So I click on the little blue arrow, it moves my task over under Build Custom Fields. Now I have Build Custom Views. If I were to add another task, it's going to add it right below that. The other thing I could do with this is I could actually create a task within the middle of my list. So instead of using this add at the bottom, I could click on this Build Custom Fields under Contacts. I right-click, Add New Row, and it's actually going to let me add a task right below Build Custom Fields. So this is how you can kind of start to map out what your project looks like, which things come first, which things come second, what the parent tasks are, what the child tasks are, and so on and so forth. To make it a parent task, you move it out. To make it a child task, you move it in. Right-click within a group of tasks to create another task at the bottom of that list. So that's kind of the basics on how to map out your project. I'll just pause really quickly and check our questions panel. Okay, I don't see any questions coming in yet. If you guys do have questions about mapping out tasks and projects, how to create them, anything like that that we've covered so far, definitely let me know. Just put a little question in there. All right, so the next subject is prioritizing these tasks. You can see that each of these tasks have a priority. I have lots of A1s, not just one. The reason that it works to have multiple A1 priority tasks instead of just one is each of these tasks might have a different due date. So A1 for this task means it's very important, but just because both of these are A1 doesn't mean they both have to get done on the same day. So over here is where I can schedule out the dates and make sure that your priority corresponds to the date that you have for the start date and the due date. To prioritize a task, I'm just going to come in here, building out my custom fields. Maybe that's a B priority. Building out my views is a C. And then I can come down here in organizations. I'm going to do the same thing. B priority for custom fields, C priority for custom views. This does not rearrange my product based on priority. That's very important because I specifically designed my project roadmap in here, grouping tasks together of things that need to get done with my account setup, things that need to get done with data migration, so on and so forth. So make sure that you understand when you do prioritize a task here, it doesn't move them around on your page. Same thing happens with due dates. So if I say, hey, I need to get the users added today, I'm going to set up their personal preferences tomorrow. We're going to do their reminders and alerts tomorrow as well, their email settings in 2 days, and their user role and access in 3 days. Now it's all linear. It works just fine. But if I say, oh, you know what? I'm actually going to do a data migration import. I'm going to do that import tomorrow. Well, now I have a task that starts on the 18th, but it's down here below a task that starts on the 20th. Keep in mind your projects don't display in chronological order. They display in the order that you pick because you get to design the flow of your project. All right. Next thing we'll cover is this % complete. Right now, all of my tasks are marked as a 0% complete. If I click on the status box over here for a task and mark it as complete, it will automatically change the % complete to 100. And you can see it also changed the % complete for my parent task. There are 5 tasks weighted equally making up account setup. When one of those 5 is completed, it marks this as a 20% complete. Other options I have is I can actually open up one of these tasks and I can put in a % complete. I could say, hey, this is 50% complete. Save and close. You'll see it's going to update here to 50, and again, it updated this to a 30%. The last option to updating a % complete, if you click just in the white space next to the task name, it brings this little orange bar onto it. If I follow it all the way across, I have notes, progress, advanced docs, time, bugs, and cases. If we click on the progress, it actually has a little progress bar. I can click on, I can drag it to where I feel like meets best, or I can just type something in. And then I click submit. As soon as I click submit, it's going to push that information back over to here. You can see this is a 30% complete, and it is 36% of the total. So that's our % complete. They all feed up to the total % of the master task. You'll also see that it's feeding this % complete of my project. My project is made up of all of these tasks. 36% of my account setup equals 12% of the total project. All right, the duration here calculates on a task-by-task basis as well as a parent task basis. So you can see that I have 5 tasks that I'm accomplishing. They span over the course of 4 days. So my start date entered here is the 17th. My due date is the 20th because I have one task that starts on the 20th and my latest task is due on the 20th. You can see a task like contacts or organizations. This is a parent task and I can't set a due date for a parent task. To set the due date for a parent task, set the due dates for the task beneath it, and that will automatically set the due dates for the parent task. You also see you can't complete a parent task. I can't say, yes, data migration is done. I have to complete the 4 tasks within data migration, and it will automatically mark that it is done. Okay, a couple questions. We have a question about importing IRA. I will get to that a little bit later in the webinar. John is asking about tracking capacity and let you know if the due dates can't be met. And also asking about duration and number of hours. I'll talk about duration first. Number of hours is not available here because these are not time-bound, these are just date-bound. So if it starts on the 17th, due on the 17th, it's a one-day duration. So we don't have hours related to tasks. What we do have duration and hours related to would actually be an appointment. So appointments have duration in minutes or hours, but our project tasks do not. Your other question about tracking the capacity. Right now, this just lets you, excuse me, you enter the dates that you want. You can see a little Gantt chart here of what overlaps you have, but each of those different resources might be for different people. I should actually set my duration a little bit better. I'm going to just open this up. So if I click on that pencil, it opens up a edit page of the details of my appointment. I'm just going to say that this duration is maybe from February 1st through the 20th. So now if I open up my Gantt chart, I don't see 6 months worth. Okay, so you can see my account setup duration is here. You can see there is some overlap between personal preferences setup and setup reminders and alerts, but I have two different resources allocated to that, so that's okay. Down here, again, I have another double up. So I have, Heather has 3 things assigned to her, and that can kind of be a red flag for me to know if that resource is overloaded or not. As far as it preventing me from actually assigning data migration to that date, that will not be part of the projects module. Great questions though. Lisa is asking another really good question. Can you link a project to an opportunity? Absolutely. So if I click on this pencil again, it opens this up. And there's this opportunities here. I can search my database and it will show me all of my existing opportunities. I could also search for a specific name. So if I wanted to find Kate Stoner's life insurance opportunity, I would just click here and it would link it right to there. Now when I submit, the opportunity will also show up here next to my customer and my project name. I'll just reload this page. You'll be able to see that opportunity linked both within the project here. Oh, you know what? Maybe it doesn't show up right there. But also, if I were to go into that opportunity, it would actually show me the project within the opportunity. So great question there. Thanks, Lisa. All right, very good questions about this project center. I think we're pretty clear on duration, start dates. I'm just going to move across here a little bit more to show you a little bit more about these. You can see the status here. It actually is pulling from the status box over here. If I put this one was in progress and I needed to forward this one out, when I click forward, it actually pops up a little box. I'm going to forward this out to next week. And I know this is going to take a couple extra days to complete. So now it has the 18th through the 24th as my duration there. But you can see forwarded, in progress, completed. The status is pulling in from the checkboxes over here. The type of task is just a task field that you can actually fill in. And this drop-down menu is customizable. So maybe coding, design, marketing, and QA testing are not your typical project tasks. You can click on Manage, and maybe one of these is sales. Maybe one of these is operations. And support. So I can put whatever types of tasks that I want to track in here. And that type will show up right here. So if I say, hey, adding users, that is a support activity, save and close, it will put in that word right here. The flag allows you to mark things as yellow flag, red flag, or green flag. I like to use this for tracking what things are quote unquote at risk, because knowing what project tasks are at risk of derailing my whole project is very important. I do a yellow flag for at risk. I do a red flag for, hey, I totally missed the deadline on that. Everything's stalled because of this. And I do a green flag for, hey, we're in the green, we're good to go. You can really use these flags for whatever makes the most sense for your business. So that flag option is open to your interpretation. Next one we see here is a little push pin. This represents notes. It does not show the whole note in here. It'll actually show the note out to the side here. Whatever task I click on gets the orange bar, and the notes is the first thing that shows up. So they use Gmail and want SMTP outbound setup FIP. I just add that note here. It puts it down here. I can have a whole thread of notes. And then you'll see that in this little push pin area, it actually just puts a little flag telling me that I have a note there. So this is like a little post-it note. If I click on it, I'll be able to see the notes over here. Documents can also be uploaded here in the Documents tab. So I can just attach files here, pick a file from my computer. Sorry, my downloads folder is always super slow. I should clean it out a little bit. Okay, so I put that in here. I can name this file something if I want to. I can put a description, things like that. When I submit, it just keeps track that that document is uploaded in my file center. So I can see the attachment is right here. And if I were to go up to my file center up here, it would actually show that project folder. So open up my projects, I open up my implementation project, and that document will be in here. So this is kind of like a Dropbox or something like that internally within your projects. You can see you can also have that for like CRM files and customers. Those are linked to the rest of your database as well. Okay, let's go back to projects. So Lisa is asking if you can attach photos or videos as well. There is a size limit on these, so I would think the videos would be a little bit too big, but a small photo should be just fine. There is not a restriction on what type of files you can upload. Okay, the next thing that I like to show you is this budgeting tool. If you click on the little dollar sign up here, there's budget. This allows you to budget time and money for your project. So, sorry, my budgeting tool is hiding. Went to my wrong screen. Okay, so over here I have account setup. I have budgeted 30 billable hours for account setup. My hourly rate is $250. It puts that in right here. For data migration, I have allocated 50 hours for that. Again, my billable rate is $200. It puts in the billable amount here. Contact management, maybe this is a 15-hour, billable at $200, $3,000 there. So this lets me plan out how much money I'm spending for each of these specific areas. And then if I click on like this little drop-down arrow for any one of them, it actually brings up my subtasks within that, and I can put billables for each subtask instead of just the parent task. So this is like the subtask of a subtask, and I can open those up. So that's your budgeting tool. Once I submit this, you actually see the allocated hours shows up right here for each of these. And then if I put timesheets in against this, I click on Submit Time, it opens up a little pop-up window. I can start a clock and it'll start counting up for me to keep track of how much time I've spent on this. Or I can just put in, hey, I spent an hour and 15 minutes at my 200 an hour, and I can put just notes about whatever it is that we accomplished here. And I submit, close window, and it's going to start tracking that against here. So you can see billed 1.25 of 50. So I can see kind of the difference in here. If I open this up, it shows my submitted over here and my estimates over here. And then it has a total at the bottom for each of these. So I'm estimating 110 hours. So far I'm at 2.25. So that's submitting time over here. Submitting time can also allow you to submit time for different categories. So if I have appointments, I have phone calls, I need to review documents, whatever it is that you want to submit time for, you can actually enter those in here. This is a great tool if you're like an attorney and you're billing people for time, but it's also a great tool if you are trying to be more productive and more focused with your time management. Tracking what categories of activities are taking up your time and how much time these things really take can help you make better decisions about where you spend your time. So even if these are not billable activities, you can still use the budgets to keep track of how much time these activities actually take. And then last thing is it does allow you to link this to an accounts receivable. So this would be the customer that's linked to my project. And I can actually turn around and bill them for that time in my opportunities if it is like a billable activity. All right, I think that's the basics here on this page. Let me just check the questions panel again. Okay, I don't think any new questions have come in since the last round of questions. All right, so next thing I'm going to cover is just these little tabs up here. We've already gone over a couple of them, but I'm just going to review them kind of at a high level so everyone knows what they are. First one is we have a little pencil. This is an edit icon for the project itself, not for the individual tasks. To edit an individual task, I just click on the task name. To edit the project itself, I click on the little pencil icon. This brings up the project detail page. This is where I can link it to an opportunity or a customer. I can put in my estimates, I can put in the type, the status. So if I was in my planning stage and now we're moving to executing, I would just update that here and then save. The next one is my documents. This is the same thing I was showing you for individual files or project tasks. I can upload documents. This takes me to the same screen. So this lets me see my documents of this implementation project. It just opens up the file center right to that folder. So just a little shortcut for you. This next one is your reports, and we have two different types of reports. We have a project summary info report. This is just kind of a easy to use format to either email to somebody or print if you need to print the report. Just gives you an overall status report of how things are going, how long it's been happening, how many tasks you have scheduled, how many are remaining, how many are not started, in progress, completed. I can click on these and it'll show me which ones are not started, which ones are complete, which ones are in progress. So this is just a little drill down report for you to see how your project is coming along. The other one is the timesheet report. And this gives you line-by-line details of what you've spent your time on. So you can see the date, the time, how much the rate was, which user completed it, when they completed it, and their notes about it. So this is one you could export to a CSV file if you needed to send this along to a client, or print this out if you needed to print it and have it ready for a meeting. The next one is this email link. I really love this one as well because this lets me communicate about my project to other people really quickly. If I click email this project, it actually opens up an email for me with my project link. This is an external project link. You don't have to be a PlanPlus Online user to see it. Anybody can click on this link that you send it to, and they will be able to see the status and the progress of your project. They won't be able to edit things in here, but they'll be able to see all of your updates. So this opens it up. You can just type in whatever you want. You can edit the message a little bit if you'd like. It will bring in your signature if you have one, and you can send that along to either your client or your boss or one of your team members that needs to look at it, whoever needs to see how this project is coming along. Notes lets you see a note report because some people don't like having to click on each task to see the notes of one task. This note pin, push pin note, lets me see a note report of all of my notes for all of my tasks. This is a cool tool. This is kind of along the lines of what you were asking about, Ira. This is export. So if I have a bunch of tasks in here, I can click on this little paper with an arrow, and it will export my task. You can see it just starts counting up, and this will create a CSV file that downloads. I'll show you that downloaded file because it only takes a second for that to actually download. Okay, so this is the information that comes over. It gives me the project name. The project description was blank, but the task name, priority, status, owner, all that type of information about my project. So the project name is just duplicated over and over again. You could take that out, or you could copy that to make it the name of the report. But if you're importing this into another system, then this is going to help you make sure your tasks get aligned with the correct project. Consequently, this is the same format that you'll want to use when importing tasks to us. And yes, you can import tasks into your project. You need to have the project created. You need to have the project name, the task name, the owner of who's going to own it, and the start date and due date of when these project tasks are going to be due. And then once you have that set up, you can actually import that here in your account under Import. And we have a project/project tasks. So upload that CSV file here. It'll put those tasks within your existing project here in your PlanPlus Online account. Ira, hopefully that answers your question about importing tasks from Microsoft Projects. I know that you can export from there and it works in a good CSV format, so you should be able to get it into here, no problem. Okay, back in here, a couple more sections. This is a project portal. This allows external users to actually log in and see projects that are assigned to their contact. This requires not just the business edition, but also the support module. So if you're interested in that, contact our sales team and they could help you set up a portal. Next one is our Gantt chart. We already showed you that. It just shows, a duration and span of each of the project tasks. This is a quick refresh because a lot of changes happen and maybe you aren't seeing those changes. You can refresh. The star shows open tasks only or shows all tasks. It's just a toggle. So right now I only have one task that's marked as completed. If I click the star, that task goes away. And then if I click it again, it comes back. I already went over budgeting, and then we have our print. So this is my print view. If I click print, it will actually open that up to my printer, whatever print settings you have. You can switch this to like a landscape view and it'll print out your project there. Okay, so those are the project level buttons and settings that you can play with in here. A couple other things that I'll show you about this. Your columns might not look like this, or maybe you just don't like them. Maybe I don't want documents in here. Maybe I don't want type in here because it's redundant of my flag. So I'm going to come in here, and on my account page I can actually control two sets of columns in the project section. The first set of columns I can control is the project summary table columns. This is the list of columns that shows up when I click on projects. So you see it has project name, organization, users, type, all of these different fields here. If I wanted to change this up, maybe I wanted to get rid of the ID because that wasn't very useful for me. I could come to Account, Projects, Project Summary Table Columns, and I could just move the project ID out of that view and submit. The next one is the Project Task Table. So Task View Table Columns. That's the one that we were just looking at within a project. So this is the project table, and this is my task table, my table of all the tasks. So if I wanted to get rid of type and documents, I would just come over here to Account Setup, Project, Task View Table Columns, and I would find those two fields. So type, I don't want that anymore. Documents, I don't want that anymore. Submit, and now if I go back into my project, it will have changed. So you can see the ID is gone, and if I open this up, now the type is gone and the documents are gone. All right, a couple other settings you have here. You can see that we have a lot of the basic fields for both projects and project tasks. But if you do need a custom field, you can actually create those custom fields over here under Projects, and it will actually let you create a custom field for your project. And then you can use that custom field in your project summary view as well. Oh, and then set up drop-down menu options. This is where I was telling you you can control the type, the status, the priority of the project, and then same fields for the project tasks. So if I wanted to open this up, it just shows the different statuses, types, and priorities. The ones that I like to play with the most, or the most commonly changed one, is definitely the project task type and the project type. So those are the two I would probably focus on from here. So that's this is kind of the setup and configuration portion of it. You have project custom, sorry, those are email templates, project custom fields and project task custom fields. Those can be used over here in your task views. And then if you actually open up a project or a project task, the custom fields will automatically be part of the page layout. We'll just open this one. So custom fields right here. Those fields will be showing right here. So I can have lots of different types. I have drop-down fields, I have date fields, the long text fields, fill in the blank fields. Any of our field types will work here for you. So you can customize that piece. And then same with the project fields. Project fields will show up here under the little edit pencil. So if I click here, drag this over, your custom fields will show up down here. So I have a Dropbox link for my project, and this is just a text custom field. So I can put whatever type of custom fields that I need in there. All right, and then the last thing I wanted to show you before we open it up for Q&A is the project template. So if I do the same implementation project over and over and over again, maybe it's an open house that I keep doing, maybe it's a staging that I'm doing, or an onboarding with a customer, whatever it is that I'm doing over and over and over again, I can create into a template. To do that, I'm going to click on my projects. It brings up my project summary view. I need to click on Open Projects and move to a Finished Project. The only way that you can make a project a template is to move it to Finished. So if I wanted to make this implementation project a template, I would open it up. I would click on the pencil. I would edit the status of my project to Finished. And then I would submit. So now that project is not going to show up in my open projects here anymore. You can see it's gone from here, but if I open up Finished Projects, it will be in there. So my implementation project is right here. If I right-click on it, there's a Make Template option. I just click that, and it would turn it into a template. I can see which templates I have, because they're in here with a big T next to them. So then when I'm creating a project, I can use a template from here. This is my drop-down of templates. The other thing that you can do with these project templates once they exist, Lisa, you brought up linking a project to an opportunity. In PlanPlus, we have a process builder. We actually have a webinar on process management tomorrow that you guys could check out if you want more details about this. But if I wanted to launch an implementation project from my closeout, so I say, hey, this was closed 1. This is in my process builder. If I edit this, I can actually use, so I have it create an appointment task, note, project, or opportunity. I pick projects, and I can actually use one of my project templates right here, and then give it a name of what I'm going to call this. So this is new sales, and I submit. And that would create a project. Each time one of my opportunities hit this step, it would automatically link the project to the opportunity and to the customer, and it would create all of those tasks for me and start the project. And then I would be able to find that project linked in here. We did Kate Stoner life insurance. So if I come in here, I can hover over this because I don't have mine displayed. I have projects, and I can actually see that project right here. I can see the status, I can see what tasks, I can see the different users that worked on it, and I can open this up right from here. So that's another view of seeing your opportunities linked to your projects, and another great way to link them is through our process builder. Okay, I think we covered most of the information we were supposed to cover with you guys today. So I will go ahead and open up the remainder of the time for questions. Let me just come back to our questions panel. Okay, I don't see any new questions. I tried to kind of get to them as we went through the webinar. But we do have about 10 minutes left, so if anyone does have any questions, now is a great time to ask. Now is also a good time if you would like to ask using like the audio portion, if you have a mic or if you've called in on your telephone. Just raise your hand and I will be able to turn on your mic. If you don't have any questions, I appreciate your time today and hope you'll join us again for one of our other webinars. You can have a great day and you can go ahead and log off whenever you're done. I'll stay on here for another 10 minutes, like I said, to bring questions in. All right, I'm not seeing too many questions coming in. If you do have one and I'm not seeing it, just raise your hand so I make sure I didn't miss any. And once again, thank you all for your participation today, and I hope you have a great